So this morning I'm here with BBC Newsline presenter and sports presenter Steve Watson. So Steve, before we get into all the bits and bobs around your career, how have you been getting on throughout the current in the current climate in the COVID lockdown?
Yes, good. Things have been pretty okay in Belfast. I've been working from home. I've obviously been shielding for 3 or 4 months as well because I had a kidney transplant just before Christmas, so I was on the high risk list. So I didn't venture anywhere too far. I went out walking early in the morning, early at night, and basically just work from home. To be honest, the lockdown probably came at a good time for me because I was recovering from my transplant. So it gave me a good opportunity just to try and take things a little easier. Yeah. Obviously all of our travel was cancelled. We had a lot of events we would have been doing. Obviously Masters Golf in April, Northwest 200 in May, probably some World Superbikes when it had started, European Football Championships and lots of other things. So we've really just been busy from home now, creating lots of stories. Sports started up in the last sort of month or so we've had some live events, which is great. But then again, I have to be still very careful going to those to make sure social distance, wear a mask, do all of that as well. So not too bad.
So going back, I suppose, back to when you graduated from Queen's University and you got a degree in politics.
A long time ago.
Was this something that you were planning on doing? You were getting into the politics side of things, or was presenting ever in the mix, as that's what you were going to eventually lead into?
Presenting wasn't, no. I did a politics degree at Queen's University and then never really used it at all until a few years ago. I actually presented the news for a couple of years on BBC Newsline, so it was quite handy to have a politics degree then. Yeah. But sport was always my passion, and even while at university, I actually got a part-time job in UTV and Ulster Television. So I was working there part-time as a student. I worked in hospital radio. I worked in a local radio station called BCR, so now called City Beat in Belfast, presenting a music program, then a sports program, a classic rock program at nighttime. I love my music. I did a bit of DJing. So I loved sport. My dad was involved in rugby. So sport was always in our family growing up. And when I got an opportunity then to get a full-time job in UTV in the sports department, I jumped at the chance. It was only a short contract, but it was working in sport. But it was behind the scenes. I really wanted to be a producer involved in sport that way. But very quickly, I was thrust into the presenting role one evening for a late sports bulletin, which took me completely by surprise. But probably a bit like yourself, I found that I enjoyed it a lot. And that was probably back in 1993, 2 or 3. And ever since then, things have kind of gone on leaps and bounds.
You caught the bug.
I did. Yeah, I did.
So then in 1999, you joined the BBC. So how did the opportunity arise to kind of move from, as you say, UTV into the BBC?
I loved my time at UTV. It was a fantastic place to work. They threw you into the deep end for everything, pretty much. It was sink or swim. So it was a great place to learn your trade. And I had some great, experienced colleagues at the time. Mark Robson, who's a rugby and football commentator, did some bikes commentary back in the day as well. He was a great help, a great assistance to me. And then in 1999, I was approached by BBC Northern Ireland about joining them. So I jumped ship to the BBC then, and that's where I've been ever since. And also, it's a great place to work. To be honest, UTV had a really good portfolio of sport during the 90s, but they started to lose a lot of those sports, and the BBC kind of had all the big sports that they had, apart from the Northwest 200, which stayed at UTV. I was absolutely gutted moving to the BBC, but not being able to work at the Northwest for a few years. But I always made it my mission that I was going to help try and take the Northwest 200 from UTV and bring it to BBC, which we did eventually. And UTV did a great job of the event, but BBC took it on to a different level, which was great.
And just on that, most of the viewers that I would hit on this are all bike fanatics and mad into their bikes. Mm-hmm. So just when you say the Northwest there, you present all the internationals and a couple of the nationals then as well, down like say Cookstown and Armoy. But what kind of a thrill do you get going to the likes of a Northwest and presenting at that? Because like I know the rugby, the football, like all that, you still get your own buzz out of them. But going to such a high profile event in the island of Ireland and it being just the exhilarance of motorbike racing, like what is it like?
It's my favorite event of the year. It's an international event which is on our doorstep, and we should be very, very proud of it. And the pictures are broadcast all around the world. I think last year we had people watching in 83 or 84 countries worldwide. A massive global television audience, which is now obviously streamed online. So I get a great buzz going to the Northwest 200. I was gutted this year that it didn't run. And it's not even, I think, the work at the event. I think it's all the friends that you miss seeing. When you're involved in motorcycle racing, especially motorcycle road racing, you kind of become part of the furniture and part of the family. So I've made some fantastic friends through the years. I love the access at motorcycle racing and road racing in particular. The riders are also friendly. It's easy to get interviews with them. They're all really helpful. And yes, the buzz of standing at the Northwest 200, if people have never been, is something unbelievable when the superbikes, start up for the first time and just take off down the road into that first corner. It's a frightening, but it's an exhilarating experience, I have to say. I've enjoyed taking many different people from the BBC who have never been to the Northwest 200 before, and I said, make sure you go out and stand on the grid just for the start of the superbike race. And it absolutely scares the living daylights out of them. But look, it's a fantastic event. It should get even more support, I think, right across the board, financial support. I think it should be an event that we should really protect. They've tried to make it as safe as possible, over the last number of years, and the team do a tremendous job. And we in the BBC have tried to elevate the coverage through our partners, Greenlight Television on the Isle of Man, and tried to make the event, a truly, truly global spectacle, and one that Ireland, Northern Ireland, should be very, very proud of.
And it really is, just when you say there about making it bigger and better, I suppose, it really is part of the heritage, I think, of Northern Ireland, because like people down south as well, down here, like people who wouldn't necessarily be into motorbikes, they know what the Northwest 200 is all about. Like it really has kind of, in some ways, it's kind of, with motor racing, it's put Ireland sort of on the map. Like people, because Ireland is a very small country at the end of the day, and everyone like worldwide knows the Northwest 200.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I have been in different countries all over the world and seen the Northwest 200 and heard the Northwest 200, on big screens in bars, and you think, wow, that's an event which comes from the island of Ireland. It's incredible. Mm-hmm. Jonathan Ray told me he was in Australia in a bar, and he said, I thought I could hear your voice, and then I looked up at the screens and they were showing the Northwest 200. Same people were in Canada in a motorcycle shop, and they thought, well, I thought I could hear you, and then I looked and they were playing the Northwest. So it's like, it's kind of makes it, oh my goodness, the Northwest 200 really does travel. People do know about it, and I know that the Isle of Man TT obviously is, they see it as the road racing capital of the world. It's the most extreme event. It's very, very dangerous, but the Northwest 200 is right up there alongside it. It's the jewel in Ireland's motorcycling crown, without a doubt. And I think, especially the past few years, it's been great to see so many stars of other motorcycling disciplines come to the Northwest 200. It was fabulous to see Jonathan Ray come the last couple of years, and he did a parade lap at the Northwest 200, on one of Philip McCallan's high-spec Kawasaki's. What a sight that was to see the World Superbike champion going around, the circuit. So look, it's an exciting event. It's where it's based, on the coast of Northern Ireland. The scenery is absolutely stunning. The helicopter shots are spectacular, and it's a wonderful, wonderful event. The Ulster Grand Prix probably produces better racing, real pure road racing, just because of the nature of the circuit, but it's not in quite as glamorous a location, and that's what kind of sets the two events apart.
And then I interviewed Matt Roberts there the other day, and I asked him a similar question about the likes of Steve Plater and James Whittam. But you, at the international events, you would co-present sort of with Philip McCallan. And what sort of, Philip's vast knowledge and, experience of the sport, what is it like for you who obviously has a keen interest in the motorbikes as well. But what is it like having someone that's been there and done that presenting with you? Can you really it really gives you an insight into, I suppose, what it's really like.
It does. My one problem at the Northwest 200 is trying to keep Philip on a lead that I can find him, because he's always running away from me, and to go and talk to people. I'm just a way to get some information for you. That means he's going for a cup of tea. But look, to have Philip alongside me at the Northwest 200, he's the only rider who's won 5 races in a day at the Northwest back in 1992. I think tremendous success right across the the international road racing spectrum. At the Isle of Man TT, Ulster Grand Prix. For me, I want to be the presenter of the bikes. I don't really want to give an opinion. I'm not there to give my expertise about the sport, because I don't ride a motorbike. I did try once to learn to ride a bike, but it didn't end well. So I thought I'm better talking about it than actually trying to ride one. So I'm just there to try and convey the enthusiasm and the excitement and the passion that everyone has for the event. And I want Philip to bring his expertise and explain to people exactly what's happening. And because the Northwest 200, people watch it who just don't watch motorbikes the rest of the year. There's a big audience of people there because of where it's based. Yeah, they just want to watch it as a sporting event. So we try and explain in layman's terms exactly what's happening. We try not to get into the too technical stuff. We do that as well for the people who are really into that, but we try and make it very accessible for people so they understand. They want to know about the speeds, they want to know about the riders, and they want to know about just what it feels like to actually race in an event on closed public roads at those kind of incredible speeds.
And then, of course, you're not only involved with bikes, but you're involved across the board with all different sports, including the rugby, soccer, Premiership, all that. And then, of course, the Ryder Cup. And you're a keen golf player and fan yourself.
I do. I love the golf. Golf tortures me. I love it and I hate it. It depends what day of the week it is. And after my kidney transplant, I've been trying to get back playing a bit better. I've been using this lockdown period to try and get out and practice as much golf as I can. I've been for lessons to my friend who's the professional down at Royal County Down. So I'm slowly getting there. But the golf has been tremendously successful for Ireland over the past 10 or 15 years. And it was a privilege to be able to cover, first of all, Padraig Harrington's, 3 major wins, and then moving on to Graham McDowell in 2010, Rory McIlroy 2011, Darren Clarke 2012, right through all the success that McIlroy's had, right through to Shane Lowry winning at the Open Championship at Portrush, last summer. When you think back to last year, to have an international event like the Northwest 200, and then the biggest sporting event, that's ever been to Ireland to be staged at Portrush just a matter of weeks later. And then you think of this year when there's there's absolutely nothing happening on the North Coast. It's really hard to believe. It's incredible that we're so fortunate the Open took place last year and it wasn't scheduled to take place this year. So the golf has been remarkable success for Ireland over the last number of years.
Just as you say, though, with the Northwest and the golf, obviously, like 2 major sporting events literally held side by side. I think, don't the bikes actually go past the golf course?
Very close, very, very, very close. Not right on the course, but they're okay. I could say about probably a par 5 away from the course.
So people would have seen in the press, as you've kind of mentioned throughout the interview, that you did have a kidney transplant there just before Christmas. So for, I suppose myself, I wouldn't overly know kind of what into that kind of entailed. So what exactly happened?
Well, I had my first kidney transplant about 30 years ago. When I was a teenager, I got a transplant from my dad, which lasted me pretty much all of those years. But in the last couple of years, that transplant started to fail. So I had to go back on kidney dialysis for about 1.5 years. And that entailed that I had to go and have treatment in the hospital 4 times a week for 5 hours at a time. So it was very draining. It was difficult, but I was determined. I'm quite thran. It's a word we use up here. I don't know if you use that word down where you are either. Thran. You ever heard of thran? It just means you're determined, a determined person. And I was determined that the dialysis was not going to get in the way of me working. So I continued to do my work. I had dialysis in America for the Masters. I had it in the Isle of Man for the TT. I had it in Scotland for the Open Golf, and many other places, France for the Ryder Cup, because I was determined that it wasn't going to get in the way of me doing my job. So after a year and a half, I was very fortunate that an anonymous donor matched me. So just before Christmas, at the end of October, I went into hospital in the Belfast City Hospital for my kidney transplant. So it was a resounding success. I ended up being in there for about 5 or 6 weeks. I should have been out probably in around a week, but I had a few complications with it. But now the difference is absolutely life-changing, and it's incredible. I've got so much energy, which my colleagues in work really didn't want to happen anyway, because they probably think I'm hyper enough as it is. But it's been a resounding success. I'll be forever thankful to the anonymous donor who donated their kidney to me. Belfast City Hospital is a remarkable institution and world renowned for kidney transplantation. And during this coronavirus lockdown, they were one of the only renal units, transplant centres that stayed open in the UK. So they have done an unbelievable amount of kidney transplants during coronavirus, which in itself is quite a positive story during what has been a really quite a negative time. So many people's lives have been changed during coronavirus because of they were able to keep the centre open. And they do more live transplants per head of population here than anywhere else in the world. So it's a remarkable centre of excellence.
Well, I suppose it's something good to take from what has been a bad situation everywhere. To know that
absolutely, yeah,
on throughout this lockdown. And so, just before we wrap up, all the different things that you've done so far in your career, it's not over yet, but Olympic Games, Ryder Cups, Northwest 200s. Is there a highlight, or can you call it? Is it just all kind of amalgamated into one, and you just love it all?
Yeah, people say, what's your favorite sporting event, and it kind of depends what time of year it is.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Oh, listen, there have been many memorable moments, because most of the people who watch your channel are motorcycle fans probably. The motorcycling highlights for me have got to be Joey Dunlop's hat trick at the Isle of Man TT, obviously tinged with unbelievable sadness a short time after that when he lost his life in Estonia. Michael Dunlop winning at the Northwest 200 just days after the death of his father, Robert, was one of the most moving sporting occasions I've ever witnessed. And then Jonathan Rea in the past few years, winning 5 World Superbike titles in a row. I've known Jonathan since he was about 6 or 7 years old, so that was particularly pleasing for me to see, we Jonathan maturing into a world Superbike champion, and he has been absolutely incredible what he has done for the whole of Ireland, flying the flag for the country north and south in motorsport at the very highest level. He still, I don't think, gets enough recognition for what he's achieved. I think he should be getting more. We made a documentary with him a couple of years ago, just trying to spread the good word about what he was doing, and his profile has rocketed. So those are big highlights for me in motorcycling, and there have been many others. In particular, the golf in the past few years. We were privileged to be able to fly back home when Rory McIlroy won his major. Graham McDowell and Darren Clarke. We were able to be with them, with their families, and fly home for their homecomings as they brought the trophies back to Northern Ireland. Those were really special moments to be involved with, events that will go down in sporting history in this country. And to say that you were kind of right there when they happened was something really, really unique and really nice.
It's something special. Well, thank you very much for doing this morning, Steve. And I hope everyone has enjoyed the stories and the tales from the Northwest, the golf, everything. So thank you very much, and hopefully see you in the near future, wherever we may be. Hopefully when all this COVID is over. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Let's hope we meet somewhere on a grid if motorcycle racing can get up and running very soon.
Fingers crossed.
Thanks a lot.